The Five of Wands. Oh boy. The Five of Wands and the Five of Swords, like, oh my gosh. So that, and that's air. So that's all that mental stuff that's going on. That's a party in my head and no one's having fun. That's what it feels like. And we've got Judgment coming up here at the heart of the reading. Does that make sense? Two of Swords coming up as a past energy, and I'm just, you know, the past hasn't really been that significant for the other ones. Massive for air, and that makes sense because a lot of the times what we do when we're thinking is we go historical. Well, that happened last time. This is around a decision that you haven't made or you weren't ready to make, but I think that's changing. Ugh, Temperance in the present. Five of Pentacles in the future. Ten of Pentacles is the advice. Wow. Those two alone, that is abundance and that is lack. But why would the advice be abundance? I mean, think about that. If we're looking at the 10 and these two lead to that, right? So I always say that when anything like this comes up, that's usually a fear of rejection. You know, that's why we stressed out. A fear of being left out in the cold, a fear of having nothing. That's going to come from fears. But still, we see that earth element mixed in with air. And it wouldn't say that. It wouldn't say, oh, be abundant, commit to a long-term goal, and then it's going to get rejected. That's not how it plays out. That is usually a fear, but we're going to have a closer look at that. I just wanted to clear that up if you're looking at it thinking, what the hell? But very interesting. We have the Five of Wands, we have the Five of Swords, and we have the Five of Pentacles. So the one that's missing is the Five of Cups. Now the Five of Cups, it may still come up. I'm going to pull some clarifiers, but the one that's missing at this point, that is the one that's missing, that's the regret, missed opportunities. Is that missing because we're not there yet? Because we haven't made the decision to regret it or miss an opportunity yet? So it could be that. These two in one way are very similar in that they're both about conflict. I find out of the two, and I know some people disagree, some people don't like the Five of Wands, but I think the nastiest energy out of these two is the Five of Swords. It's nasty. It's someone who's ruthless, who's willing to do whatever it takes to get what they want. It can be someone who's very selfish, very jealous. I once had this come up it was a test reading. Someone was testing me in a reading. It was for a psychic line job. And they asked me about something. And I remember it was just a random, like, oh, tell me about business. And I was like, you got screwed over by someone. And not because they got anything out of it. Like, they didn't steal money. They didn't do whatever. They just did it because they could. And what that person told me afterwards, after they'd given me the job, was, yeah, that we employed someone to take care of our computer systems. And they basically screwed it all up and left. Because they could. It doesn't always have to be that base. Sometimes it can be ambition. This could be that ruthless person who's willing to take down anyone to get to where they want to be. There's an interesting combination, just going off on a side note for a moment. When you get the five, if you've got the Five of Swords with someone, I don't know, with say the devil or something, that could be someone who's willing to sleep their way to the top. Yeah, temptation, right? So, I mean, the Five of Swords can mean a lot of things. When you get two fives, though, that is intense, and that's the underlying energy. How bad do I want it, and what am I willing to do to get it? Now, the Five of Wands, it's not as bad as the Five of Swords. Why is that? Because the Five of Wands is more about facing a challenge, showing what you're made of. It's conflict, yes, but it's usually the team, like a team sport, or pitting your business against someone else, or fighting for that contract. It's not nasty. Now, it can get that nasty with the Five of Swords coming up with it. 1 second, guys. Oh boy, my throat's starting to go. I've been talking all day. It's the last one I'm doing today. Sorry about that. Okay. So with the Five of Wands and the Five of Swords, yeah, that is hectic. That is intense. I call the fives the agents of chaos, and there's chaos here. And yet it's air. And yet it's an air message, an air reading, which means all of this fun stuff is going on in our heads. Even worse than that is it's getting unleashed on each other, because that could be the Two of Swords, arguments, conflict, because we're trying to figure out where we are, what we want, what we're going to do and stuff. This is conflict, whether it's inner, and you know, a lot of times outer conflict, it is just an expression of inner conflict, right? I always say that when I hear people saying nasty stuff, I always think there's something so much worse, must be so much worse going on with you, that's all you have to give. Sometimes I've put up some really positive messages, beautiful messages that come up, and you'll see someone, they are going to point out the most, it didn't even come up, but they picked something out of that as a segue to talk about something so dark and depressing. And I don't feel bad. I mean, I just think for that person that, damn, you know, that you're in some nasty place at the moment. Your inner dialogue must be so awful that it spills out in that way, even in a very positive, when there's a very positive reading. So there could be some of that going on. And please be mindful of that this week. This is not a time for, you know, just running our mouths off to people. This may have already happened. That Two of Swords is in the past. This could be conflict. This could be a decision that needed to be made. Some of you, this is the outcome of that decision. Now you're having to deal with a lot of this worry, stress, whatever it is, inner or outer. For others of you, that decision is yet to be made. And it's crunch time. It's crunch time with this energy coming up. My recommendation to you, and it's a big, I talked about it in today's Scorpio season challenge as well, but I'll give you the example. Always see the I statement. Always see the I statement in what people are saying to you, because there is an I statement behind it. It has nothing to do with you. You're the trigger. You're the trigger, but you wouldn't be able to trigger it unless it was already there, right? You're the salt, but the wound was already there. So always see the I statement. That's how a lot of readers ask me, how do you do it? How do you handle all the kind of negative? And I was like, it's easy. I see it as their expression. It's an I statement. So the example that I gave was somebody once, and not just one person's done it, but a few people do this one. And they said something like, I was apologizing. I think it was a Capricorn reading or something. And I said, oh, I'm sorry about the length of the video. And you know, that's sorry as in when you're giving the kid the medicine. I'm sorry, kid, but you have to take it. Like, you know, I'm sorry in a sense of, if it's too long for you, I'm sorry, but I didn't really care about it. Anyway, someone left a comment saying, don't apologize. It makes you sound codependent. Don't apologize. It makes you sound codependent. Now, what's the I statement in that? What is the I statement in that? The I statement is in that when I hear you apologize, it reminds me of my experience with codependency. That's the I statement. Very different statement from what the person made, though. But that's technically what they're saying, because they are perceiving my apology as codependency, but it must be based on their experience of it. So the reason I share that is you may need some of that kind of understanding, even if it's for your own sanity, even if it's to understand something that happened in the past, even if this is around some kind of conflict or stress. Now, the reason I say that is we have judgment at the heart of this, and judgment is one of the ways that we make that judgment call, which is about drawing a line in the sand, turning around so we can face our future without fear, laying the past to rest, right? Is forgiveness. Is forgiveness. So think about that, especially if there's been a conflict or an argument or something at the heart of this, or inner conflict, or, you know, you found yourself arguing against some change, or because the agents of chaos, they cause change. They are there to enact change. They are a lesser energy of the judgment card. And I talk about this more in depth in the Scorpio season challenge intro. And I want to be clear, guys, I'm not trying to plug my other videos. The other reason I do the challenges is that I can't sit in every single reading and expand on one, you know, one topic ad nauseum, ad infinitum. I try to do my best. But the whole reason those challenges and stuff are up is that I can talk about a specific topic or message in depth, at length, and then I can refer you there in a reading to say, go check that out if you want more info, because not everyone does. And everyone wants more information. But those of you that do, that's there. And so the fives I see, think about it. If you add all the fives up, there's 4 fives if you count them in the minor arcana. They add up to 20, which is judgment. So they are mini versions of judgment, how we are being changed. So think about that in terms of your ideas and what's stressing you out, how you communicate with people, the battles that you get into. Is it more important to be right than it is to be happy? Trust me, there's still a part of me that says, hey, I'm happy when I'm right. But hey, that's just the cheeky side of me. But with the 5 of Wands coming up as a here, do you enjoy the challenges? Do you change up the energy that you bring, how you show, how you show up? Do you get back on the horse? Are you putting yourself back out there? So judgment coming up here is a transformation. It's a change. And some old aspect of ourselves, the past life or whatever it is, because you see, they've died. And now they leave those lives behind and they rise up. And one way that we do that is forgiveness. Forgiving ourselves and others. We honestly do the best that we can with what we know in any given moment. All of us do. And this is where we are ready to face the future out of here. Transformed. The only way they get a second chance at life or a second chance at something is by letting go of the old stalemate, the old thoughts that didn't serve us, that kept us trapped and stuck with that 2 of Swords. Where we've tried to make 2 truths work, and we know they don't work. Where we've gotten into battles before, the 5 of Swords is very similar to it's a kind of ego battle. I see it like the Tower. It's a blow to the ego more than anything. So we have Temperance coming up. So with Judgment coming up here, yes. And we're getting a lot of 2s coming up too. See, decisions. I kind of feel like it's crunch time and it's time to make decisions that we haven't made before. That is how we get this second chance or this rebirth or this transformation. I mean, this is very Scorpionic. This is Pluto's energies, energy of transformation. And with the 2 of Swords, it was deciding what our truth is. And with the 2 of Pentacles, it's all the things that we juggle. But there's no growth or movement or travel or exploration when we just stand there juggling the same stuff again and again. Even the 2 of Pentacles says it's time to take a step back. Are you just exerting all your effort and concentration and focus on juggling the same stuff, the day-to-day? And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging. I live a very simple life. A very simple life, trust me. I don't have extravagant stuff that I get up to and all the rest of it. I mean, I went on vacation after years. I don't do things like that. And there is beauty in my simple. I love it. I have more beauty, and I've led adventurous kind of high-flying life, and I love my life the way it is. But I also don't do this. That's not what I do. I bring the Knight of Wands into my simple everyday life. This is where we're just focused on what's in front of us. We only deal with that. No time for growth, no time for this. I'm only going to deal with what's in front of me. That's all I have. Because it's this way, because I've got 2 pentacles, I will only ever have 2 pentacles. That changes. But if we do that, if we're just juggling, this can also be where we're like kind of hedging our bets, right? I'll just keep these 2 going just in case I lose one. You don't grow, you don't experience anything new if you just keep dealing with the same 2 pentacles. And that's where we have the Knight of Wands. And, the Knight of Wands did come up in the water message, so we've gone full circle now. That transformation, and we've got the Knight of Wands coming up here with Judgment in the water message. The Knight of Wands came up with the Tower. And the Page of Pentacles, so planting that seed. They're all connected. They're all connected. But this is in our head where, how can we keep mulling over just the same 2 opportunities or possibilities or options? We can't. And we would if we didn't realize that there's more available to us, that maybe we need to go charging into the unknown. We have to take action. We need to do something more. Again, I want to say, I don't feel like this is the week for the action. It doesn't feel like it looking at the fire message, but preparing for that. Sagittarius. What are you going to be doing with all that fire energy? What are you going to be acting on? What options are you going to be going for? This feels like laying the groundwork for that, especially in the air message, which is our thoughts and our ideas. Any decisions that we make, anything that we're going forward with, the challenges that we're overcoming. First of all, if your head's been chaotic and nuts like this, that's what's needed. Temperance, moderation, balance. It's interesting. Today's Scorpio season message was around this, work and play. Do you work too hard? Do you play too hard? Is there balance? Is there an equal amount of passion and action in your life balanced out by emotion and intuition? Are you using everything to bring balance and harmony? And temperance doesn't need anything else. They're working with what they have. I mean, the Two of Pentacles can too. But the Two of Pentacles guy is not making anything new with those two. He's just keeping them in that. Look, it's an infinity symbol as well. So it's going to be doing that forever. But temperance doesn't say that. Temperance, in this one, it's the after tarot. So you see it tipping out into the water. A bit like the star, actually. And that dove coming out of that cup. But even, in the traditional temperance, you see the liquid defying gravity and it's making the impossible possible with what you have. By bringing in some peace and harmony. Like this kind of stress in our heads, this kind of stress with other people, conflict, arguments, this is not going to help anyone. So maybe this is about smoothing over the waters or disengaging or bringing some peace and harmony, moderation into it. Do we need to fight that hard? Is it a challenge worth overcoming? Let's see. Where's temperance there? That's balance as well. So we've got the temperance card that talks about balance. And we've got the chariot, which is head and heart are balanced. Balanced here. To go forward, to progress forward. How do we move forward from here? We can't from here. This kind of feels like, this is like mentally like a dog chasing its tail. That's what this feels like. So much effort, but not a lot that we get out of it. So much effort to juggle that, but we're not getting a lot out of it. When really a decision needs to be made. What are we going to do? Which direction we're going to go in. And that means we leave everything else behind with the Judgment card. But the main thing this week, and it may be hard, but it's finding that mental balance to do this. And how do we do that with the Seven of Cups? This is actually a card of rationalizing and analyzing. I've always seen it as that, even though it's cups. Because rationalizing and analyzing, it all seems very logical, mental energy, right? But the sevens ask us, is it worth it? And the Seven of Cups specifically is asking you, is it a dream worth pursuing? Is it a dream worth pursuing? But we can only consider that when we pause for a moment, when we bring some balance into this. When we stop chasing that tail, even if it is in our heads. Because to move forward, we must balance it. So if you think it's an air message, and it's even saying there, it's time to bring in, all of this arguing and fighting or going for stuff or getting ourselves worked up to do something. Is it even worth it? First of all, that. And we might decide, no, it isn't. I want to go in a different direction with that Knight of Wands and the Chariot. But the other thing with the Seven of Cups is there might be other options available to us. Or this is recommitting then to the dream. But we do it from our heart space. That's what the Seven of Cups is. Yes, it's looking at our options. Yes, it's considering, is it a dream worth pursuing or not? But how do we figure that out? By our heart energy, by how we feel about it. That's why I said, if you only watch one of these, watch water. Excuse me. And that's how we move forward with that Chariot. We get some balance, we get some traction going, and we recommit. Because the head alone, it's out of control. But it's almost like, think about a team. Like if you think of a team, they're all just fighting each other because they're bored. Like a teacher, a teacher that's left a classroom full of kids and with nothing to do. So someone's pulling someone's pigtails, someone's beating someone up, someone's doing whatever, the rest of it. So this is almost like a timeout. Everyone just stay quiet for a moment with temperance. And everyone realizes what they've done. But then you give them an option. I mean, obviously as a teacher, you'd pick the Seven of Cups. But, then you'd say, turn to page whatever, or everyone do this. And that's what it feels like. That inner chaos, we calm it down. By giving it something to focus on. And also, you know, this can go too far the other way. Are we kind of going crazy because it's too good to be true? It's an illusion, it's fantasy. But that's why it's so important to figure out if our heart's in this. If it really, to our heart, feels like a dream worth pursuing. Because what's causing all of this is what we're trying to avoid, which is the Five of Pentacles. I don't want loss. I don't want rejection. I don't want to be left out in the cold. I don't want to be left without any help. And that's a projection. Because when it's a dream worth pursuing, we won't care. We'll risk everything for it. We'll risk it. But if we go into it thinking, I'm going to get rejected anyway, what's the point? Then chances are, yeah, you probably will. Because that's the vibration. That's what you're putting into. You're not going to perform the best. You'll be stressed out. Why's the Five of Pentacles there? The Page of Pentacles. It's, look at that as a focus, not on the outcome, not on that I don't have anything to give, I don't want to ask for help, I don't want to do any of that. What we're asked to focus on as we go forward is then the seed that we plant. When we decided if it's a dream worth pursuing, then we plant the seed. Then we take that pentacle and say, yeah, this is the one. This is, you know, the potential for great happiness comes from this. But you can't kind of like gyp yourself out of it before you've even done it. You know, no wonder that's why you're just going round and round chasing your tail around this. Because that's always going to be a risk. That there might be rejection or there. And that's why the advice is the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles says, hey, that's not the point. That's not the point. If you look at that as the acorn, and this is, well, what if it doesn't grow into anything? What if, you know, I give it all the whatever, space in the garden, do whatever, give it my time and effort, and I don't get anything from it? What if the plant dies and it doesn't live? And the Ten of Pentacles reminds you, it says, hey, that's not why you commit to this. You commit to this because you are willing to put in the time and effort to grow that oak tree. Not whether the oak tree will grow or not. The potential is there for the oak tree to grow. The potential is there. That's what gets you in. How committed are you to growing the oak tree? Not to the oak tree, not to the guarantee of an oak tree, but how committed are you to growing it? And with the Five of Pentacles, that can be a struggle. That can be a struggle. That how hard it will be, because all of this is struggle, right? That's the internal struggle is coming from the perception of that there will be outer struggle. Think about that for a moment. Swords, thoughts, beliefs, ideas. Wands are inspiration, our creative urges, our passion, the energy that we put out into the world. So that's chaos. But you'll do it, but it's like, well, what if that happens?